bowling pin back here. I'll move that out.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. Today, I am here with Melanie Golembiewski, who is our Associate Medical Director at Neighborhood Family Practice, and I am Megan Meister, Director of Community Engagement.
Hi, everybody.
Thanks. Melanie's just going to talk with us a little bit today about the holidays. With them being just around the corner, we wanted to take a few minutes to share with you some of the ways you and your family can be safe and help reduce the risk and spread of COVID-19 in our community.
Thanks, Megan. So as many people are aware, the governor has recently set out some new advisories, although not direct orders like we had previously in March. These advisories are meant to really help people to fully understand the risk that is out there right now. Our county is having high community spread. And what that means is that there's lots of virus out there and we often don't know who's infected. The most common story that I've been hearing as I'm getting on the phone and saying, I'm so sorry to tell you you have this COVID virus, is people are saying, I didn't think so-and-so was sick. I didn't think I would get it from my sister, brother, mother, best friend that I just met for dinner, the other day. So, the biggest thing is that we don't know who's infected and we have to be careful with all people, especially when people don't live in our household. So to talk a little bit more about that, I think we're going to talk about just some different types of activities that we can try to avoid and maybe shoot for over the holiday.
Exactly. Thanks, Dr. Melanie. Could you talk a little bit, just in layman's terms for all of us, a little bit about the governor's orders and the advisory here in Cuyahoga County and what that means for us?
Yeah, so the governor did set out an alert saying that we do have high community spread, and it's recommended that we stay home. And the reason that there is a stay-at-home advisory or a stay-at-home recommendation is because, as we mentioned, we don't know who's infected, and the less that people are out mingling with other people who don't live in their homes or in spaces that have a large amount of people, the more risk there is that we're going to get continued spread. And then the other part of that advisory was that, between 10 and I think it was 5 a.m. That, it's a strong recommendation that you are not out unless you need to be out for work or some emergent thing. So that's really trying to hit at, late night activities, bars and restaurants and things like that, where we know spread is absolutely happening in those instances, because you have to take your mask off to eat. You can't eat with your mask on. You can't, have something to drink with your mask on. So we do know those environments are pretty risky. So that 10 and 5 is really intending to kind of cut back on some of those activities.
That's great. And maybe you could tell us a little bit more too, especially with holiday activities. What are examples of maybe low risk and higher risk activities that we would be engaged in?
So low risk activities is that we're not mingling or we're not getting together with people who do not live in our 4-wall housing place, our house, our apartment. We are just with our people that we've been in a bubble with, that we live with. Once you start to open up that bubble and you bring other households in, even if that's your mom who lives down the street or your auntie who lives, a couple neighborhoods over, once you start to welcome other people in, you're welcoming in their circle also. You're welcoming in their bubble. So, that's really how we're going to see a lot of spread this holiday, is if we have more people coming together. So lower risk activities are doing things with just in your household, having dinner within just your house, or preparing a meal within your house and maybe dropping off a plate to a neighbor who might be without a family or friend this holiday, or gathering virtually, which I don't like doing. It feels kind of weird to me personally, but similar to what we're doing right now, sort of talking with people that you normally would sit around the table and talk with, but having this talk over a virtual manner. And I think Zoom is making it free this all day on Thanksgiving, or not putting a time limit on it. I think usually there's like a 45-minute time limit, but so I'm sure we'll be hearing some more ideas about how we can virtually connect over the holidays, but those are the safest things. So, on the video or really small, like your household only, or somebody who, if you're adding other people into your bubble, ask them questions, get nosy, really find out, what have you been up to? Are you, quarantining 2 weeks before you've come over? Have you had any high risk exposures? It's okay to get a little nosy. And if people feel offended by your nosiness, perhaps, to say, hey, we're in a pandemic, I got to keep myself and my people safe. So, Yeah, so those
Very
are the
good tips.
first risk things. If
So
you're, may I add one more thing? If you're having
please,
people
yes.
going to eat together that they don't live in the same household, eating should be separate. So, for example, if I'm going to have Thanksgiving dinner and my auntie who lives a couple neighborhoods over is coming over with her spouse, I'm not going to eat with auntie. We're not going to sit around the table together and have dinner. She may be eating in a separate space in her time where her mask is going to be coming off so she can eat, and I'm going to be separate from that activity, and then I'm going to eat separately. And then when we're together, we are wearing our mask.
No, that's an excellent tip. I was actually going to ask if there's maybe some additional tips or recommendations you might have that if people are going to gather, how could you do so safely to reduce the spread within the household? So I've heard things like, maybe considering gathering outside if the weather permits, which is always a little
You never know in Cleveland, right?
Ohio. But are there some other things, you mentioned maybe continuing to wear your mask indoors?
Absolutely.
Other recommendations?
Yep. So ventilation is pretty important. So that's why outside activities are safer. There's ventilation. So people's respiratory droplets coming off, are getting dispersed, not in a closed environment. So ventilation is important. If it is, if it's over, I don't know if people have kids, for us at our house, if it's over 30 degrees, you're going outside. So, you be outside as much as you can. That's a safe. Wear masks, even if you're outside. If you're with people who do not live in your home and you are going to be talking with them in closed spaces and you're out, even if you're outside, just wear a mask. That is really important that we kind of cover our faces during all of this. Eating separately. So, maybe there's a family, a household that's going to have dinner on the back porch and someone's going to have dinner in the house and then someone's going to have dinner in the garage. So, think of ways that you can kind of split people up so that they're at those times when their masks are off, they're not together and their respiratory, droplets from talking, eating, sneezing, laughing, coughing are separate.
Those are great tips.
Be separate. When you are together, wear a mask.
Excellent. What about we hear a lot about we wear masks. We obviously wash our hands regularly. What about like sanitizing and cleaning surfaces and spaces? Do you have any recommendations about that and kind of what we should watch out for?
Although that's something that all public health guidelines are including, we don't believe that's the number one way this is spreading. This is really spreading from close contact, not wearing a mask, and just being together. So of course, when we sneeze, we cough, talk, stuff is going to come out of our mouth and it's going to fall on surfaces. So is it possible to spread it that way? Yes. Is it the main way? No. But if you are wearing a mask while you're preparing food for other people, that's very helpful and would be much appreciated, I bet, by people. So wearing your mask while you're preparing other people's food is a good choice this year. And then cleaning surfaces that are touched frequently. So countertops, bathroom surfaces, any areas that in your home where people are going to be gathering or have gathered. Quick wipe down with kind of an antibacterial or antiviral wipe, like all the different wipes that you can never find at Target anymore. All those things can be helpful for sure.
No, that's fantastic. I've even heard some homemade remedies and recipes to do that online if you're not able to get a hold of some of the Clorox wipes. And we talk a lot about food serving and things like that. Are there tips when actually serving food? You recommended maybe not preparing the food without, it'd be nice to do it with a mask. Things like utensils or serving dishes or things that you would recommend that we keep in mind for the holidays?
Sure. Yeah, I think if you don't have a space to offer people to eat where they can be separate from others who aren't in their household, the safest thing is packing up a plate to go. You can still enjoy your Thanksgiving foods that you love so much, but you might it's safer to enjoy it in a space that's safe, which would be your own home if you can't eat separate and have, a separate ventilated shared, space. So packaging to go. If you typically have a buffet style serving, it might be helpful just to have one person kind of serve and then try to limit how many people are in line to get that food. But again, small gatherings are what we're aiming here for. We're not aiming for a big buffet line of people and food. So, keep it small. Maybe one person can serve. That keeps kind of multiple hands off of the serving utensils. And then, really something that I've been pushing for a lot with my family and patients is let's just take our food home and, we can enjoy all of mom's yummy mashed potatoes and, squash and all those things that you love, but in a different setting.
No, and that's so true. And I think it's also hard when folks first come in and you haven't seen family in a while. You want to give
Yes.
hugs and greet
Yeah.
people with open arms. But
Yeah.
I'm guessing you probably have some reasons why we should not be doing that.
Yeah, gosh, as much as you love to give Aunt Mary a big smooch, this is not the year to do it. So we, something little kids have learned in lots of in schools or other places, we do the elbow bump, yes.
Chicken
Uh,
wing.
my favorite is the foot five because it takes some balance, some agility. You get a little balance training in there. So you can do the foot five, a leg tap, just say hi. But hugs and kisses right now are probably not a great idea. So, that's getting out of that distancing from others. That brings up a good point because even if you're wearing a mask, distance is still important. So many people have seen that, like the layers of Swiss cheese and how all of these things we recommend are protective. So a slice of Swiss cheese has holes in it, right? So things can get through those holes. So a mask, it's not perfect, but it's really helpful. Washing your hands, not perfect, but really helpful. Being at least 6 feet, maybe a little bit more away from other people, not perfect, but really helpful. Yeah. And when we line all these things up, all those little holes that might be in each of those individual things get blocked by the next thing and then blocked by the next thing. And so when we do all of these things together, that's really when we can safely be around other people, when we're wearing a mask, when we're keeping our distance, when we're washing our hands, and cleaning those shared surfaces.
Oh, those are fantastic tips. And we've talked a lot too at our community health center about other ways and creative ways we can kind of gather this holiday season, even if it is virtually. And so some of our friends have found and shared some different ideas that we'd love to share with the audience watching today on tips at home. So things like, as Dr. Melanie shared, consider having maybe a virtual meal, although it might be a little bit different. There's some great ways you can do that. You can share recipes with friends and family in advance. Or shared experiences. So some examples were sharing having the same scented candle at home or preparing the same traditional holiday dishes, or even creating a shared music playlist. And, starting that off at the beginning, maybe sharing the recipes that you've come up together with as a family and doing that virtually and planning your menus and shopping lists. And lots of stores now have free curbside pickup, which is nice if you're able to shop online if you're able to do that, and scheduling calls with family and friends throughout that whole process. Other ideas, I saw a great one about virtual caroling and then sending a link for people to join and participate in and too. So you're not sharing some of those droplets with others.
Yes.
And I think Dr. Melanie made a great point. Many of our friends and family and neighbors aren't going to be able to participate in gatherings, and so there's a lot of folks that have maybe immunized or immunocompromised situations at home, or aren't feeling well, or maybe a little bit older. We're trying to protect them and dropping off, dishes and meals to share, decorations just at the door, and greeting folks to bring and help them feel inclusive is really important this time of year. So,
yes.
So some things to think about during the process. So that is the tons of great information today.
Yeah.
As we wrap up, Melanie, are there any additional, thoughts or tips you might have for those joining us today?
Yeah. I was thinking about kind of how we, sacrifices that we've made in the past weeks. Maybe kids aren't going to school, or we're not going to some of the favorite places that we typically like to do, or we've been having small gatherings, and we just want to throw that all away. We want to feel comfortable. We want to, do the traditions that make us feel good and that we love. And I just want to ask people, hang in there a little bit longer with us. I can see the light at the end of the tunnel. This isn't going to last forever, but these next 6 weeks are so, so, so important. So please follow the guidelines that are put out there by city officials, health officials, things that we've talked about today. Our hospitals are getting full, or some of them are already full. And we just want to keep as many people safe, as many people not getting sick. Although you may get the virus yourself and it's very mild, or it doesn't cause any symptoms, there are many other people out there that it can make very sick, put them in the hospital, or, even cause death. So please, please, please follow these guidelines and have a happy holiday.
Thanks. And actually, we have a few questions over here in the comments, I see. One question is, what about Black Friday shopping? Any
God.
any tips? Like, I know online ordering is really option, and stores have expanded. But what are your thoughts on Black Friday and over the weekend shopping?
I mean, we got to really balance out, like, how much do I really want this new whatever it is versus being in a very crowded, unsafe situation. I mean, I would not recommend Black Friday shopping. It's not something I traditionally do, so I must say that I haven't experienced it in a while. But seeing those lines on TV or knowing that the stores are going to be so busy, it's really not safe. And I suspect stores will be putting limits on how many people can be in there, and they should be absolutely doing that. So I think if there's ways for you to shop online, that's way safer for you. Or check with your local stores. Maybe they're going to have some way that they're going to limit number of people in, or let very vulnerable people be in at a certain time. Older folks or things like that. So it's definitely not safe to be in any crowded situation right now. Not safe at all. The community spread in our area is so high. Although we are not testing everybody, but roughly 1 in 5 people that are getting tested are coming positive. So that's a lot of people, and we know those are only the people coming for a test. So this virus is it causes symptoms in some people, but there's some people it doesn't cause any symptoms in, and they're going to feel well. They're going to go to Thanksgiving dinner. They're going to go shopping. They're going to be out and about, and they can spread it to other people even though they're not sick. So it's just so high right now. We have to really be careful, even more than we had to be careful in March or June or July. This is the highest level of virus that we've seen in our community right now. So anything that you can do to protect yourself and your family and your community members is much appreciated and really recommended.
Fantastic. No, great tips. We have a couple questions about being outdoors, and maybe if there's tips from anything from if you're hiking masked with your friends and what kind of distance you need to maintain if you're having meals together. Any thoughts? We know 6 feet is really, really important.
Yeah.
But
I
everyone,
your flyer, that was cool. Yeah. Just your part on the flyer. So if you are with someone who doesn't live in your home, wear a mask. Even if you're out hiking about, there's going to be instances where you're going to really try hard to keep a distance between you. 6 feet is what we think is protected. 10 feet is better. I think that 6 feet is what we think about. It's easy for us in our brain to think about how big is 6 feet. Oh, it's probably an adult man, So I think 6 feet is helpful because it's something we can conceptualize better in our head. But the more distance, the better. And there's going to be times where you're going to try hard, but you're not going to be able to keep the distance. So back to those layers. So mask and distance and hand washing. And if we layer those things together and be consistent with them, then that is very helpful.
No, that's fantastic. That's fantastic. We have a comment about on Good Morning America this morning. There was a health expert that recommended talking softly as a recommendation. Is there any thoughts on that? Is that just helped maybe perhaps with the droplets and distribution?
I think so. So certainly we've seen people may have remembered in the news where the choir at a church had spread it to 60, 70, a very large, the whole choir, something like that got infected. I don't remember the details, but certainly louder talking, yelling, singing is going to push things out further and more of it. I would hesitate to say that talking softly does not replace wearing a mask. Absolutely not. But certainly if you're singing, yelling, thinking about, kids playing sports and they're like, go, you're going to push things out further for sure. So there is some thought to that sure, that makes sense. There's less stuff coming out when you're speaking softly, but it does not replace a mask. No, wear a mask.
Got it. Excellent.
If you're just afraid of loud noises, but please wear a mask.
No, those are great tips and great questions from our audience. Thank you. Lots of personal sharing and stories, and we really appreciate that. Super. And just as we wrap up today, we just wanted to take some time and thank you for connecting with us at NFP today. We always say if you have additional questions about COVID-19 during the holidays, we've had comments, certainly if there's questions, continue. And then well, another piece of this is for information on actual COVID-19 testing is something we offer at our community health centers. And so we encourage you to visit the website or call us. Our phone number is 216-281-0872 to get tested. And we really appreciate that time. Melanie, anything you would like to share in closing in terms of testing or final recommendations?
So testing cannot save us in this instance. We're not going to test our way out of this volume or this level of virus. It is important, but primary prevention, or that first level of prevention that we've been talking about with wearing a mask and trying to avoid other people, that's what's going to turn this around for us. So testing is very important. We have access to testing here at NFP. Our medical providers, we talk about this regularly. We're staying up on the data and in the treatments and things like that. We're following all of this very closely. Vaccines, all of this. We're really trying to stay up and understand what's going on in our community and how we can really help our patients. So any questions you have, you can call. We can get you a visit by phone or video with one of our providers. If you're sick, there's other things happening out there besides COVID. So if you're sick and you get a COVID test and it's negative, that's, still talk with your medical provider. If you don't have a primary care provider, call us. We would be very happy to help you. But there's other things going on with your health. Don't just let it go, which we've seen too. People say, I got a COVID test, I'm okay, but you're still coughing, you have a fever, something else is going on. So, please be diligent with your health right now. And if there's some way that NFP can help you, please let us know.
Thank you, Dr. Melanie. Well, and today we hope for all those that are watching that we've been able to share with you some new tips and ways for you to help keep you and your family safe this holiday season. And we all know that things are very difficult right now. These are unprecedented times, as we all hear, and we all miss our family and our friends, our daily routines. But we always have to keep this in mind that we're in this together. And so we at NFP encourage everyone to maintain their distance, to wear your masks, and to help keep others safe this holiday season and ongoing. So we appreciate all of you and wish you all a very happy holiday season from Neighborhood Family Practice. And Dr. Melanie, thank you so much for all of your great information and tips and suggestions today. It was a pleasure.
Yep. Thanks so much, Megan.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great rest of the day and a happy holidays to everyone.
All right. Bye.
Bye.